Hey guys, it's your girl Nick. This is another edition of Bo Knows Business, where we learn amazing stories about Black women entrepreneurs who have grown their businesses to over $1 million. And they tell us their stories, how they got started, what their childhood was like how do you grow up to be a $1 million business owner, and you will start to see some amazing threads, some commonalities go forth. Today is no exception. You are going to meet my dear friend, Miss Shamika Godley. She is based out of Maryland. I'll let you hear from her all about her business and help me welcome her to the stage. Hey, lady.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. You're one of the coolest sisters I know. Like I could be up, I could be down. You always smooth and cool, girl. How's it going today?
It's good. It's even. Yesterday was not even, but today is even.
Even, I love it. I love it. Well, I'm so glad. First of all, I'm so grateful for you to be my Bo sister. Second of all, I'm so proud of you. I know that what you do is not only exceptional, but you're in rare air being an architect. So, can you tell us a little bit about you and your company?
Absolutely. So the company is called S. Godley Architects, purposefully, because I wanted to make sure that folks know that there is a lead, myself, my face, plastered all over the place to run this company. We do complex renovations all over the country. By that, I mean, we have a lot of developers and government clients that have property that they have an idea what they want to do, but they need someone to help them get through that. And so we get those phone calls and we do problem solving, architectural therapy to help them get through the process. We kind of hold their hand as they go through everything and show them, what they can get for the budgets that they intend.
That's perfect. That's perfect. So, you know the game. You know how we do at Bo Knows Business. We do our own little Michelle Obama becoming stories. So we're going to go through each chapter of your life because we really want our audience to know, how does one become, $1 million business? And so we want to go back to that first chapter where little Shamika was playing somewhere, doing something. I'm sure she was doing great in school, but tell us a little bit about your childhood. Where were you raised? What was your family unit like?
So I'm a child of a single mom and I have one sister. We grew up in Rhode Island.
Oh, okay.
So I was a minority all my life. So this is just kind of where I've been sitting. I had a mom who always encouraged entrepreneurship. And she was always like, write your own check, do your own thing. Don't let anybody ever determine your worth, your value, your path, your journey. So that kind of got instilled in me from a very young age. And I was that kid who my mom would buy us tons of Legos, right? And my sister and I would build these towns and all that kind of stuff. And my sister would build the town and she's ready to go outside and play. I would build the town, want to knock it down and rebuild it and change the design and move the windows and change the doors and all this kind of stuff.
I always wonder, like, is that really how architects were children? Like did that really happen? Because girl, I tried to get my son to do it. Like, they're like, forget this.
Well, you heard me say, my sister was like,
yeah, she was out. She was out.
Right. So my mother was like, so I would just spend literally hours upon hours doing this.
Yeah.
And my mother came over and she was like, the people that do that, the design buildings, you know what those are? And I was like, no. She was like, that's an architect. And I was like, well, that's what I'm going to be when I grow up. So I was 7.
Oh, I love it.
And so since I was 7 years old, this was my dream to do this, and I didn't know when or how I would go out on my own, but I knew eventually I would. So I literally know how to do nothing else, Nick. I mean, this is it.
So you're 7 years old, high school, college. You never waver. What type? You know what? My son, who is right upstairs, ironically, he's starting to come back around. He wasn't feeling those Legos, but Now he's like, I see some drawing going on. What was high school and college like? Were you still very laser focused on this? And what kinds of classes? What did that look like for you kind of becoming?
So I was lucky. I grew up in an era where we had all kinds of artistic types of programs. So you know
Mhm.
how back in the day we had wood shop and all that kind of stuff, and then
Mhm.
you had the kitchen, the kids who did the cooking. I
Right.
was the one in wood shop, right? So I wanted to always build something. And then they came up with my particular high school had AutoCAD classes. So that's the software that we use.
Really? No, I'm very familiar. That
Yeah.
is interesting.
So they made us design stuff. So we had problem solving. Like we had to power a car with a brick and water. That was the assignment, and we had to draw it and design it, and like do all the stuff
Yeah,
about it.
yeah.
And so all through high school, I was in this one class. I took it all the way through and just loved it because I got the chance to just kind of be me, and I
Mhm.
just am a creative type of person. And then being able to learn software that would help me later was
Yeah.
was just huge as well. So for me, yes, I was laser focused forever, right? And then I got to college. I went to Howard University and
Thank
majored in
you.
architecture. And I was fortunate because I got a full scholarship from the American Institute of Architects. They were putting out a program, looking for minority architects. And I raised my hand and wrote apparently a hell of an essay. So they gave me a full ride. So I got there. I'm on campus, coming out of a little small town, Rhode Island, coming to DC on Howard's campus. And I just went for it. My mother was like, all right, this is your ticket. You've been waiting for this all your life. Go do it.
Yes.
So I took, like I said, I majored in architecture and I just took everything I could absorb. And Howard prepared me for this. It has a program that's based in like teaching you how to be an entrepreneur as well in terms of
Yeah.
architecture. I just ate it up. It was a 5-year program. I did nothing but, I did the other requirements and stuff, but
Mhm.
architecture was my passion. We were the kind of crew that on Friday night while everybody else is out, we were in our studio designing stuff and working stuff out. That's what we did for fun. We were just a bunch of
Oh,
nerds. But it was fun, you
I
know.
love it. You know what? And I envy, I envy people who have, that. And I guess maybe I am one. It just took a little while, but when you kind of find your purpose early, and are able to, connect those dots going forward. How did that feel? Do you feel kind of, I want to say richer, more complete? Because if it feels like having that direction is a gift, it's a blessing, huh?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I've never been one of those people who didn't have direction and a cheerleader in my mom. So it was always, this is what I was going to do. Like the logistics of how would I find my purpose in architecture, that was something I wasn't sure how the answer would come. But when I decided, like in the middle of the recession, to like quit my job and start a company, I was like, okay, I guess this is gonna be it.
Yeah.
This is it. Here's where I'm at. Um, but it's
Well, what
always
can we pause there and ask? So, I'm assuming you were working at a majority firm.
Mhm.
What was that experience like? You're going from, you know what you want to do. It sounds like you were deeply confident in your ability as a Black woman going into, the private sector. What was your experience like, working outside, for someone else? And then what made you transition to working for yourself?
So I spent about 13 years working for other people, and they were always majority firms. I was always one of very few minority architects. And it was hard. It was very difficult. It was one of those things where, you hear the stories about folks feeling like, well, this was my reality, training people who ended up being my boss. So I know I'm better than you because I taught you how to do that, but I'm not getting the promotion. So those things would happen. I felt pigeonholed. I felt like I knew I could do this better. I would have clients call in to talk about things.
Yeah.
And I was like, it shouldn't be this way. They should get so much better service for the things that they're doing and the projects and the money and all that. And I really just got fed up with it. I got fed up with the lack of growth, because I got pigeonholed. And this is what happens to minority architects all the time. I tell my staff this now. We get stuck doing what we do good, what we do well. And that's all they allow us to do. And so my purpose then became, okay, well, I'm going to do something different here. And then I'm going to not only serve my clients, but I'm going to grow young Black architects, particularly women, not always, but particularly, to show them that they can be more. They don't have to be limited by what someone else tells you, which is all ties back to my mom and the whole big picture thing. But that's what it was about for me,
Love it. I love it. And I think with starting our organization for Black women, looking at excellence, one of the big themes that people, our members have said is, that unspoken aha and exhale, that you have a community, you have a safe space. So what you said deeply resonates with me. Let's talk, before we get to Bo, let's talk about your company, and let's talk about the fact that getting to $1 million mark for any small business is an accomplishment. Only 2% of all women-owned businesses make over $1 million or generate over. What were some of the steps that you took to scale your business, to go from being a solopreneur, if that was your experience, to really having an infrastructure of a scalable business that you have today?
Ooh, that journey was hard. I think, to preface this, I had literally zero business background. Okay. So I knew how to be an architect, but I had zero idea how to run a business. So I was a solopreneur for quite a while. So we've been in business now for 15 years. And for most of that time, it was just me. For probably the first 5 or 6 years, it was just me. I started bringing in, 1099 support, consultant support, not really growing the business per se, just kind of answering the phone and doing what somebody told me to do. You know what I mean? And it had to transition. I think where it transitioned to true growth is when I decided I was ready. It's like I had to finally say, it's not enough to just pay my bills. It's not enough to be able to do a project here, a project there. I want more. So then now how do I get more? So for me, it became building that infrastructure. It was starting with everything. I built teams for everything, so that from the very beginning, it was like I wanted to make sure I had a competent accountant. I had a competent, tax preparer. I had, all the things that we forget about, you know what I mean, to get the business. So all of the consultants for all the things that I don't do, like anything that's not architecture, I built a team for, right? So that I had the resources to say, help, I don't know what I'm doing. Help me with this thing. How do I do this better? And then when it came to the architecture itself, I started to slowly build my team. I think for me, I had a mentor who ran $1 billion company who told me that I needed to just stop being afraid. And she was like, you're ready to hire full-time employees with because I was terrified of the benefits and the payroll and all those things, right? And she said, if you don't make the decision that you want to grow this business, then you're going to sit right here.
Yeah.
That's it. So, I took a deep breath, probably cried the night before I actually did it, and then put out a job description and ended up hiring one of my interns full-time.
That's awesome.
And then, it's kind of one of those things when you first take that first big step and hire your first employee, and you're like, oh, well, I can bring in some more. Like, okay, let's get some more.
It's true. If I have like my top 5, anecdotes or expressions, the only thing you have to fear is fear itself has to be one of the tops. And it's every time that I have challenged the thing that I was afraid of, that's
Yep.
when I grew. That's
Exactly.
where the quote successful milestone came. But it takes courage. What gave you the courage? What you mentioned your mentor.
Mhm.
So was someone, were you, did she highlight for you that you were afraid? Did you know that you were operating in fear, or was it her
Mhm.
awareness of that? Because sometimes we're very good at convincing ourselves, like,
Right.
I'm not afraid. I
Right.
want to be right here. I
Right.
want this, right
Right.
here.
No, she told me about myself. She said she was one of the people who was like, she basically helped me, we worked out my plan and what I wanted to do. And she helped me realize that without a team behind me, what I wanted wasn't achievable. I can't do $1 million of work by myself. I only
Yeah.
have 2 hands, 1 brain, and I can't do all that, right?
Yes.
And so when we laid everything out, the plan for the growth and all the strategy and stuff, she said, "You see what's missing here?" And I was like, "We really have to talk about that." And she
Yes.
was like, "That's what it is." She said, she said, "Nobody can give you this. Nobody. You have to make the decision that now's the time." And after, I think it probably took me maybe 2 or 3 months of back and forth with her
Mm-hmm.
about, well, how do I, and but what if, and all that stuff to kind of overcome the fear. She, at the end of the day, was just like, "I'm going to need you to stop just being scared.
Yeah.
Just stop and do it."
I love it.
Because I needed. I'm one of those people who need somebody to be like, "Girl, sit down and just do the thing I told you to do."
Yes.
Like, that's me. You know what I mean?
Just do it. My grandmother, my mom tells me the story that my grandmother always said, and she was a very, genteel lady, and my mom was, not, and usually like, oh, I got to do this, and she was like, just do it, just do it. All of the emotional, intellectual banter that goes on, there's a zone that you use when you face fear, where you just go through it. You turn off all the noise.
Yep.
I'm sure that people that exercise regularly, which I do not, they do not like getting up and going out there, but their body just connects with the assignment. And so I hear what you're saying. I receive it. I try to implement it and quiet the foolishness, right? And
That's
just
what
do.
it is. Because it's all, even now it's still there, because I know I'm still in a position where I'm still growing and still needing to hire and still needing to bring people on. And I still get scared because,
Yes.
okay, now I got to do more. It's more commitment, more people's lives who are relying on my check every 2 weeks. That's scary, but it's kind of the thing where you just have to own the fear. And I just give myself the time to be afraid.
Yes.
And then it's like, okay, well, now I had the minute to be afraid. So now here's the minute to have some courage and just do the thing.
Have some
What
courage.
I mean?
I most certainly do. I most certainly do. I want to talk to you about, I think that's kind of the part I want to break down too for people is, we look at success very clinically or sanitized, right? Like, oh gosh, she made $1 million, she's, sipping champagne every day, which I kind of do, but it's not because it's successful. but there are just different challenges, right? They're different. It's just a different set of problems. It's not, having a business with employees does not mean you're without problems, right? It's just different problems. And so what I want to, different challenges, different opportunities, right? So we can reshape the narrative of how we say that. Let's talk about what success looks like here, and what does that next level look like for you? So you have faced your fears, you've got courage, you have sustained your business at this level. What is, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Oh my God.
You got somebody like my dog in here losing his mind.
This is live TV, y'all.
We break it down.
It's gonna be good. What are you gonna do? We'll We'll go like she is all for entrepreneurship. But I want to say, what is the next level, and how can you work with the collective to achieve that next level for yourself?
So I think that the next level, I think going after projects that I dream of having is just kind of one of the things that I want, right? To be in a position where I am now, where I can decline clients. I love that. I don't want your job. I'm gonna take that job. That's some good stuff. But then also, I think for me, it's getting the skill set of managing people, because that's my current new challenge. It's managing the people that I have, the work being done not exactly as I do it, but as they do it. But how do I also coach them to do it not exactly how I want it, but you know what I mean, how I want it, and and
That's your
make
standard. That's your brand.
yeah,
Your name
yeah,
is on it. So
yeah.
that, I mean, I think it's a both and, right? That
Mhm.
that you want to give people a license for creativity in your field,
Mhm.
and you want to have your brand stand for X, Y, or Z. What does it mean when I come to your firm? This is the level of expectation. So,
Absolutely.
but I'm sure that it is with challenges, right?
It is. And I think for me, one of my missions and what's so important to me is to continue to grow these young Black architects. So most of my staff is now, I have mostly young Black architects on my staff, not all, some. Um, but the culture that I'm working to develop here is to grow and prosper. I feel like everyone on my staff has come to me abused. Like, you know what I mean? Like they've come
I
from the
do.
working world and they're
Yeah.
scarred and abused and
Yeah.
haven't had the freedom of choice and have the freedom of making decisions and
Yeah.
making a mistake, and we survive it,
And
So
surviving. Yes.
I'm trying to build a culture where those things matter, and it's
Yeah.
more about training them to be their best, whatever the best is for them. Right? They may not choose to run businesses at some point. Some of them may end up buying me out and running this show, but it's kind of, for me, my legacy for me needs to be that I taught them how to do that better. Like
Yeah.
that's so important to me. Like I have one young staffer who was my intern, who harassed the heck out of me to get to be that intern. She was me, 30 years ago. She kept calling me, and I blew her off and called me. And finally, I was like, "Girl, come on." But now she's one of my most important staff people, because
Oh, I love that.
growing with me. She's like 27 years old, and she's like a rock star. And so I think to myself, damn, if I could turn her into what I want her to be as she gets older and grows in the profession, that's the legacy. That's the next step for me. And so for me, tying that into Bo, we're already doing it because we have so many different folks in the group that do so many different things. One of which that pops into my head is like the interior designer. And there's a mill worker. All of these things I use on my projects. So the point is that we all collaborate, get to know each other. We have lunch from time to time. And when opportunities arise, we reach out. Hey, I got a job. I need that thing. I need you to jump in and help me and support this thing. And I think the more that we're getting to know each other, the more we do that, that's how Bo grows as well. I mean, we're all going to grow together. And I think that's what this whole thing is about. You know what I mean? Making the room for each other. And that's huge to me, because I just love it. I just love it. It feeds me. Like you know what I mean? That's what everything is about to me.
Oh, well, I feel it, I see it, and I'm so proud. I'm so proud of your legacy in your own right. I've known you for several years, and seeing you flourish is a personal. It is a personal accomplishment that I am like one of the many threads that have been there to support you, support your business, and that we get to to stay in alignment and do that for other people, it's huge. And I'm just so grateful for you. I want to leave you with the last word. Two things. Number one, allow our Bow Collective podcast followers to be able to get in contact with you. Leave us your contact information. And then I say, give us one little pearl, one piece of advice that you want all our entrepreneurs to take with you, the biggest lesson that you've learned.
Okay, so let me do this in steps. So my contact information is sgodleyarchitects.com. That's the website. You can find everything about us there. My email is sgodley@sgodleyarchitects.com. And again, we're all there. I'm fully available. So I think the last thing that, if I had to say anything to younger entrepreneur me, I would say just don't stop dreaming. Mm-hmm. Because that's the thing that stops us, I think. We get afraid, we don't make money, we do all these things. But I think if you stay passionate about whatever the thing is, and you don't allow anyone to course correct you, you can get there. That's what I think it takes. And that's what I guess I would leave you with, if anything.
Oh, I appreciate that. That is a good nugget. I hope my son is here hustling. Look, you got a young person coming up the pipeline. So I'm so grateful for you. Okay. You enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much, lady.
Absolutely. Talk to you soon.
Okay. And guys, that does it for another amazing edition of the Bow Knows Business. Tell your friends, follow us on social media, and just don't stop dreaming. Don't let anybody course correct you. Stay hopeful and encouraged. Thank you so much for joining us. Take care.